in that case.
Mr Speaker,
Darian Fenton.
I'm very pleased to stand and support this bill, but I must say that I'm gobsmacked by that speech. I'm almost speechless, although he didn't quite manage to fill in his best line ever, which is the government is not here to make people's lives better.
That's right.
That's right.
That's what he
the best line. So you didn't quite, the member didn't quite meet his standard tonight. You know, I'm sure we'll go back over Hansard and find some other pearls of wisdom, but I have never heard so much ridiculous nonsense in all my time in the House. And even 3 years ago, when this bill was in front of the Parliament, I didn't hear anything quite so mad and ridiculous from that member, who I suspect probably said a whole lot of silly things along the same lines, but this year, he just, I'm gobsmacked. And, you know, 3 years ago, Mr Speaker, the government did have a chance to do the right thing when this bill was in front of the Parliament, and they failed by voting down this bill, and they're going to do it again tonight. And what they're doing by doing that, they're failing the thousands of workers who've been laid off through no fault of their own, often without notice, without compensation, to get them through the hard times while they look for another job. I'd like to talk about choice and the allegation from the member David Bennett that people should be free to negotiate. Well, I mean, I've met a lot of workers who've been free to negotiate who actually have been laid off with nothing, who get no compensation, no notice, and are expected to try to support their families through the hard times while they look for another job. No sympathy, no nothing. It's really humiliating. It's a tragedy, a personal tragedy for each of those workers and their families. It does have an awful impact. Anyone that's ever been made redundant, and I'm sure that member is going to be made redundant next year, will understand the humiliation of redundancy. He's over here. That redundancy has on them and their families. But let's talk about those who can negotiate redundancy pay and why this bill is fair. Let's talk about Leslie Longstone. This government, the incompetence of the Minister of Education.
Did she get the minimum wage?
No, she didn't get 4 weeks' pay plus 2 weeks for the half a year that she'd been there. She got $425,000 in a golden handshake because Hekia Parata could not get on with her. $425,000. Why is that okay when other workers get nothing? Why is that okay, David Bennett? Now let's think about some others here. Don Elder.
Are you that thick?
How much did Don Elder get? Don Elder got $250,000 extra pay plus gardening leave when he made a botch up of solid energy. Unbelievable. $250,000 plus gardening leave, money to stay home and allegedly work because he made a botch up of solid energy. And then you look at people like Paul Reynolds in Telecom, who got $1.75 million in a golden handshake following his departure from Telecom. Fonterra, we've been talking about tonight, but he is facing severe hardship. That's right. He was trying to face the hardship that was coming. And then, of course,
do any more fly fishing.
And then Fonterra paid its former chief executive, Andrew Ferrier, $8.2 million. Golden goodbye. When he left the cooperative in 2011. This bill is a very, very modest measure. The member, David Bennett, clearly doesn't understand minimums. He clearly doesn't support the minimum wage because that is not about telling people what they should be paid. That is providing a floor for every worker in New Zealand below which they cannot be paid. That's what this bill will do. That's what this bill will do. And the national government could do the right thing on the eve of the budget. Tomorrow, when they'll be boasting about the jobs they haven't created, they need to think about the people that have lost their jobs. They need to think very hard about that and do something right for a change. They have the chance to support this bill tonight and send it to Select Committee.
Mike Sabin. Oh, Mr. Speaker, it's a pleasure to follow